So what do I got in store for you guys today? They all look like fun. That looks like work. Looks like we might be doing a tranny. But I guess you gotta work hard to play hard, right? Will Robinson here from Robinson's Auto, toolsandtime.com. Welcome. Today we got a 96 Mitsubishi Eclipse. It's got a bad tranny, the sinkers are out of it. The owner has decided to go the route of a used tranny, so we'll be throwing a used tranny in it today. Along the way we're going to put a new clutch and pressure plate in it, see how the flywheel looks, and we'll go from there. Alright guys, let's get started. Okay, the first place I usually start is by opening up the top. So let's remove the battery, half the air cleaner. Real simple process. Alright, let's get it done. Take that bottom tray off. 12mm. Okay. Alright, on this side of the air cleaner, just unclip the clips. There's two on the top, two on the bottom. I believe that's it. You got a hose clamp. Just move that out of the way. Okay, now that you have the battery tray and the air cleaner out of your way and the intake hose, come down here and we're going to remove the shifting cables next, the shifter cables. As you can see, there's just a cotter pin. Remove that cotter pin, lift it up off. That clip simply pries up and out, and you have two cables. Do the same for both of them. Just like so. Got the cotter pin out. Nice and easy. Japanese. Okay, now for the next step. If you look over here behind the air cleaner, you got one connection. It's your reverse light switch. Come over here, see the starter. Remove that top bolt. That's also your ground strap. Now will be a 15mm. Then move on to removing your bell bolts, all the ones you could get from the top. Those are 18mm socket or wrench, whatever you got. Then move on to the back. I don't know if you can see it down there. See if I can get the light on it a little better. You got another electrical connection. That's your speedometer. Want to unplug that. And then there's that rear mount. I don't know how good you can see it, but there's 3 bolts. There's 1, 2, and 3. Remove them 3 bolts, and then we'll jack it up in the air. And by the way, that one bracket in the back, that was a 13mm socket, and 2 more bolts were a 15mm socket. Okay, once you get it jacked up and on the stands, remove the left front tire. Okay, now in this step, what I want you to do is remove that cotter pin and that axle nut. Then you come up here to the upper control arm, remove that nut, and you come down here, you follow your strut down, see that 1 through bolt, remove that bolt. Now I used a 17mm socket. That bottom through bolt was a 17, and I also removed this bracket for the brake hose. It was just a 12mm. Zip that off, that'll just give us a little extra room. Next, what I want you to do, or what I do, on this type of suspension, this is what I found the quickest and easiest. I'm going to separate this. If you go and use a fork or anything, you're going to damage that boot. So when I separate a joint, I usually take and I whack it right on the thick part where the ball joint goes through. Alright. There it goes. Alright, this is why I disconnected that. It gives it a little extra travel. Alright, let's back up a step. See how this is putting a little bit of stress here on this brake hose? You want to avoid that, so let's just disconnect the caliper. It's only two bolts. Use a 17mm socket. And another little tip I do to keep the pressure off of that brake hose. I have a little bungee cord I made up. You simply just tie it up out of the way. Just like so. Okay, once you got everything disconnected and your caliper hanging up out of the way, you'll have just enough room to pull that axle out of the spindle. As you notice, I didn't disconnect the tie rod end. Now you could, it'll give you even extra wiggle room. However, there's cases where I've done these trainings where I didn't even take the axle nut off. I just pulled everything back and tied it up, just in a hurry. But for the video purpose and everything, you could disconnect the lower ball joints and stuff, but it's not worth it. So let's pull it out. And once I'm ready to pull the axle, I'll slide it back out of my way. I can actually pull it out at this point. Alright, let's go in here and remove this plastic cover. Okay, next, just to get this out of the way, I'm going to pop this axle. What you go in behind the knuckle. Be careful where you pry because you don't want to get on the shaft itself. You get your pry bar, you get one behind there. Once you get a nice spot, just give it a quick pop. And make sure you have an oil bucket ready. I'm just going to get it out of the way that way I don't mess anything up. Okay, here's a couple little things I want you to do. As you can see, this is the front side of the transmission. This is the hydraulic line that goes down to your slave cylinder. Just take and remove that nut. I'm pretty sure it's a 13mm. It just makes it easier than removing the clip and all. Then come over here. You see this lower cross member. It goes from the front to the back. You're going to want to take and remove that through bolt on that motor mount. Remove these two bolts. Then you got two more bolts in the back. You can see them back there. There's one there, one back there. Just take and remove them. Be careful. The upper tranny mount is still on it. The motor mount's still in place, so I don't have to support anything at this point. But let's get that out of the way. Okay, next, you see the slave cylinder there? There's two bolts. There's one there, one right above it. Takes a 10mm socket. Zip that out, and as long as you got that nut off of that retaining bracket, that'll allow you to move the slave cylinder up and out of the way. Okay, remove them two bolts. Okay, now I'm coming up here to the front side of the transmission. As you can see, the bottom of the starter up there. Got one more bolt for the starter, the lower starter bolt. You want to remove that. And when you come down, you see the bell bolt that comes through the engine block to the bell housing of the tranny. Remove that one. And come down further, and you see that bracket bolt that goes to the bell housing. And you got one more over here. And if you sneak a peek up inside, let's see if I can give you a shot. Let me find it. See that bolt right there? That's another one that comes from the back side or the front side, however you want to look at it. Comes through the engine block to the bell housing of the tranny. and that'll be your last bell bolt. Remove it. And then when you're ready to remove your bell bolts, what I usually do, I zip these two bottom ones out, then I remove that cover. And you want to leave one bell bolt in the bottom because there's a lot of pressure without a jack holding this tranny up. So I take these two out first, remove that cover, then reinstall this one bracket bolt into the bell housing. And then I remove all my remaining bell bolts and just leave that one remaining. You can leave another one on top for safety. That's a matter of preference. I actually have one up top and one here. Next, what you want to do is turn this flywheel. I know it looks like an automatic, but it comes out as a clutch pack. Or you can just remove the tranny normally. But just turn it and remove the bolts that go into the clutch pack. And then another thing I usually do is disconnect those two hangers. That way it gives it some room to move so you don't strain this flex plate too bad. I got all four of those bolts removed. They were 18 millimeter, and there was 4 of them. Here's another part. This is just a matter of preference as well. You can do this using a jack underneath with a block of wood on the oil pan or whatever you have. However, I have a cherry picker handy. Therefore, I just support the motor with the cherry picker. I also have a cross piece that goes from strut tower to strut tower. However, it's just quicker for me to use the cherry picker since I have room. But as you can see, it's going to hold the motor up for me. That's that bell bolt I started back in on the top. Now I'm going to come over here and remove this tranny mount. As you can see, I got 1, 2, there's 3 total nuts and 1 bolt that goes through. Okay, now we're back underneath. As you can see, I got a floor jack and a block of wood. I removed the bolt that I had in there, and I took and I popped the axle with a pry bar, just the same way I did with the left axle. Just got in behind it and popped it. However, it's still in place, as you can see. I didn't uninstall anything from the left side. Now what I'm going to do is jack up on this a little bit and go up top, remove that bell bolt that I temporarily reinstalled, and we'll see if we can lower the tranny. Another thing I did, I drained the oil out of the tranny. There's a drain plug towards the back. I removed that and I just drained the oil. So let's remove that top bolt and see what happens. All the bell bolts are out. Should be good to go. Everything except for that axle's holding me up. I think we can clip itself back in. We get a little pry bar. Pop that. The axle's just about out. Let's see what's holding me on this side. Looks like something's hitting. I think she's coming. I think the motor's sagging a little bit. I'm going to go up top and jack it up a little bit. Yeah, the motor's sagged a little bit. Most trannies you would take and lower everything. Over on this one it gives you enough room. Do it like this. Sometimes it's easier just to do this without a jack, believe it or not. Okay, she's out. I'm just going to take and lower it. Okay. She's out. pretty cool setup. As you can see, it's all one assembly. And your pressure plate and your clutch, it's all riveted together. This saves a step of having your flywheel resurfaced. It has like a separate flex plate on the inside that this flywheel bolts to. Those 4 bolts that we took out in the beginning, almost like a torque converter bolts. And now you see why. It's all one assembly. So it cuts out the step of aligning everything. It all comes pre-aligned. Comes with all new surface, so you don't have to have anything resurfaced. And it'll come with the pressure plate, clutch disc, and the flywheel all in one package. So, pretty cool setup. At the same time, it'll come with a new throw-out bearing. This one was noisy. So, we'll see what we can do. Alright guys, I'm going to get some parts, and I'll be back. I just installed the new axle seals. I thought I had the video rolling, but here I was out of space. So the new axle seals are installed. This is a Napa item. It's a SKF 15750. They're both the same. So they're both installed. The new throw-out bearing. Feels good. I took and cleaned the inside out a little bit as possible. I like putting a little bit of, they give you some grease, some friction grease for the input shaft and the clutch. I like putting a little grease on that. Pushing where that thing runs. It just slides on. I'm going to lube everything up in here. Okay, once you got that all in there and lubed up, take and install it. This all comes in one assembly. You don't see this style too often. But the pressure plate, the friction disc, and the maintenance surface, I don't know if you want to call it the flywheel, and then what it mates to is the flex plate. Call it what you will. But anyhow, it comes as one setup. You can't really change it because it's riveted together. But you don't have to worry about aligning nothing. That's one good point. And yeah, it kind of looks like a torque converter on this side. Yeah, it's one assembly. Pretty neat setup. What's nice is that you don't need much clearance to take this tranny out. Usually you need like 4 inches or so to pull the input shaft out of the pressure plate and drop it down. Here you just pull the tranny out enough that the dowel pins are out of the bell housing, and you can drop the tranny straight down. There we are. Ready to go back in. I'm going to put a little grease on these lip seals, new seals I installed. I had to change the speedometer. It was a different plug, different color gear, so most likely it was a different ratio. So that's changed out. Everything else looks identical to the other tranny. This is a used one. There was like 92,000 miles on the car that this one came out of. It was the lowest mileage car I could find, and it was a total. So it was a collision job. So the tranny was good prior to the accident. So supposedly she's good, and comes with a 3-month warranty. which ain't bad for a used tranny. So usually if they work, they work. If they don't, they don't. So you usually know right away. Alright, let's give it a shot. Got all the bell bolts in at the bottom, up in there. That one that's hidden, don't forget about that one above the axle.